Joining me tonight, David Brock, founder and chairman and board member of Media Matters for America. Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, Ed.
What's the right-wing plan here? Get Democrats tired of the Clintons with this kind of stuff?
Well, sure. I mean, look, they've been trying what I call a kind of preemptive strategy of disqualification with this Benghazi hearing that's been going on for years now to tar and tarnish her record before she gets in. I think they don't know her very well, so they may have had some expectation that they'd actually scare her off. And yeah, you know, one of the most frightening things I ever find is Democrats believing Republican propaganda. So there's a little of that out there too. But at the end of the day, this is political season. We're on the eve of a presidential election, and this is a desperate tactic by Republicans who have nothing to offer the country, and they've had nothing on Benghazi for months. They're trying to fire up this investigation, fire up their base, and get those Benghazi truthers.
I mean, I think that the "Ready for Hillary" slogan is like the Republicans coming back with this, saying, "Okay, are you ready for more of this?"
Sure.
I mean, to throw this where there's a Clinton, there's a controversy. Where there's a controversy, there's an investigation. Does the country really want this? I mean, I think that is their strategy.
Sure, I don't doubt that might be part of their strategy. But the reality is that this is so familiar now. Mm-hmm. I mean, for some of us who've been in this since we never got the apology from the New York Times on Whitewater in 1992, this week has played out exactly like that. And I think people are understanding what this is. I think that they understand that the Republicans are desperate. They tip off a newspaper, they get a false story, and then you get this entire media complex, and you get this explosion of coverage. And the truth has a hard time catching up. And people are still confused, Ed, that there was no violation of law here, that these emails were preserved. And you mentioned Secretary's tweet last night.
Well, I was going to ask you, what do you make of her tactic to go on Twitter and respond to it?
Look, I think it was a low-key and appropriate way of dealing with it. But the reality is, this is, I don't know in history, a cabinet officer who's disclosed all their email. It's like the greatest act of transparency we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. And yet you've got people out there, Republicans and also people in the press, who are holding up Jeb Bush as the paragon of transparency when he's had 3 million emails. They cherry-picked less than 10%, put that out, and that's transparent. Well, why doesn't he match what Secretary Clinton's done?
The narrative on the right wing right now is by these right-wing zealots on Fox is that, hey, there could have been a real security breach here.
Sure.
Should she address that?
Sure. Well, I think when she becomes a candidate, she's going to be asked these questions. There's no evidence of that. The State Department says that's not the case. These are what you said. These are the Fox News people, the Benghazi truthers. You know, Ed, they're never going to be happy. You mentioned the subpoenas from the committee. Mm-hmm. Okay, so 55,000 pages of email were turned over, right? About 10% were held back as strictly personal. Mm-hmm. They want those too, Ed. They want to go pry and harass and embarrass. Yeah. So in that sense, you know, this is really just politics, politics as usual for the Republicans, and we expect it, we recognize it, we know what it is, and it's not going to matter.
And Trey Gowdy wants to be somebody. I'm convinced
no
of that.
Question.
David Brock, great to have you with us tonight.